Hi there. Today we are making sweet chili sauce.
Sweet chili sauce.
No. Stop.
Oh, sorry.
No. Sometimes called Thai sweet chili sauce. I don't know if it's more Thai than it is. It's sort of one of those sauces that shows up in various Asian cuisines.
Pan-Asian.
It is often used as a dipping sauce or as an ingredient in other things. We have sometimes purchased a bottle under the name sweet chili for chicken.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know what it is, it's a great condiment that is sweet with a hit of sour and some chili in it, and so
It's not usually really hot though.
not hot. It's got a little bit
Just
of
a
heat,
bit.
but it's not super hot. And so we're going to make it from scratch because we are those kind of people. And I can almost hear you go, now why would you do that when you can buy it? And my answer to that is A, because I can.
And because you should.
B, because you don't know what goes into that. I mean, a lot of the ingredients are kind of scary. There's often red dyes and all sorts of things put in there that you really don't need. And also, we don't like to fill our house with a whole bunch of bottled sauces. We often we have ingredients and we turn those ingredients into food. So that's what we're doing today. Now, strangely though, this recipe does call for a bottled sauce, and that is sambal oelek, also known as garlic chili sauce, and it's usually found in a bottle with a green lid and a rooster. No, I'm not going to. And a rooster on it, and it's made by the same people who make the most famous of the sriracha sauces, and they call it garlic chili sauce.
You can be forgiven for that.
And so that is one of the ingredients here, and we always do keep a bit of that around. Now you can make this without, moth. Wow. I got that one. And it didn't land in any of the ingredients.
Just sit by again.
Anyway, let's get back to this. You can make this sauce with chili flakes, but you need to use very little because chili flakes are way hotter than this sambal oelek happens to be. So you need to err on the side of caution if you're using chili flakes, okay? And you may want to add more garlic if you're using chili flakes because sambal oelek has garlic in it, although we have extra garlic as well, okay? So let's get started. It's super easy. Basically, we're putting almost all of the ingredients into a small pot.
What do you got there?
This is rice vinegar. Mm-hmm. As always, ingredient amounts are down below in the show more box. This is water. This is a ridiculous amount of sugar, 90 grams. And you know what?
God.
You cannot make this without the sugar.
I guess that's the sweet in the sweet
That is
chili
the
sauce.
sweet.
Yeah.
This is cooking wine. You can substitute dry sherry if you don't have rice cooking wine, which we buy because we use it for a lot of stir fries and things like that.
And we serve it to guests too.
No,
They'll
we really
never know
don't.
the
You
difference.
don't drink that stuff. It's kind of nasty.
It's salted, right?
It's salted so that you don't drink it, and so they don't have to sell it in a liquor store. They can sell it in a grocery store. So this is the sambal oelek. It's darker than it usually is because this particular bottle was in the pantry for quite some time and it oxidized. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's just not as bright red. It's more of a brick red than it usually is. And then we got some soy sauce. And then this is, I took a rasp, a very, very fine grater, and I grated ginger and garlic on the rasp. You could just chop it super fine.
Get a better texture though like that, right?
You do. It kind of melds into the sauce a bit better. I'm actually going to use my finger to get that.
And you can adjust the garlic amounts to your taste.
Do it the way you like it, absolutely. Just like I was saying, if you were to use chili flakes, you adjust the heat. You can also adjust the garlic and the ginger here.
So if I'm understanding this, this is like the base recipe for any kind of a sweet chili sauce that you want to make, right? So you
I don't know. There may be some.
You could probably use it with Szechuan peppercorns and stuff like that if you felt so inclined.
If you wanted to go in that direction with it. And you know, it almost is. It's got a bit of the sort of sweet and sour, right? So this is. You could jig this to be a sweet and sour sauce. Plum sauce that often comes with Chinese like egg rolls and things like that. Honestly, never made it because I don't even know how authentic it is. It's just not a part of my world.
It's North American.
Yeah, and but I almost feel like it's this with plum flavoring or a bit of jam or something. Okay, so all I'm doing here is heating this up until the sugar dissolves. And then we have 2 more ingredients that we will add once the sugar dissolves. So let me show what those are. So we have cornstarch here.
Right.
And we have water. And I'm going to mix those two together and create what's called a slurry, if you're in cook speak. Once the sugar is dissolved here, we're going to add the slurry, bring it all up to a simmer/boil. So cornstarch is a thickener. It's the thing that gives the sauce an almost, well, a thicker and almost not quite gelatinous kind of thing. It also gives it gloss, a beautiful
viscosity
glossiness.
is the word.
Viscosity,
Is
that's
the
the
word
word
you're
I'm
looking
looking
for.
And this beautiful glossiness. So that's why we're using the cornstarch. You may be able to use something like tapioca starch here, but I haven't tried it. So if you do, please leave me a note down below because I'd love to know how that went. So the thing to make cornstarch work, your sauce has to get up to a certain temperature for it to thicken. So that's why we're bringing it up to like a simmer or a boil. And then as soon as that happens, we're basically done. We pour it in a jar and let it cool down. And it gets thicker as it cools. So it doesn't have to be as thick as you want it while it's in here. I got one little hair that's like tickling me. It's driving me crazy. Okay, so all the ingredients here are well blashed and the sugar has dissolved. I have a couple of slightly bigger pieces of garlic in there, and I don't care, but I could strain it out if I did care. So I'm just gonna add the water to the cornstarch there and give it a stir. Now here's the thing with cornstarch. If I did this in advance and while I was talking to you it was sitting there, the cornstarch is gonna kind of half fall out of solution and end up at the bottom there. You must give it a stir right before you put it in, okay? Because cornstarch has a way of falling out like that. In it goes.
You know the old saying, if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the precipitate. Sorry.
Yikes.
Oh, that's bad.
Geek jokes, love it. Okay, so when I first put it in, it looked white, but then it immediately it sort of disappears. And now we're just gonna bring this up to temperature. You can see the bubbles starting around the outside for a simmer here. We're gonna let that do a boil while I grab the jar.
Now, do you have to preheat the jar before you put it in?
I'm going to tell you why. Okay, so you can see we got a good boil on that. And that's it.
It's like you're making candy.
Oh, except candy takes longer because you have to get it up to a higher temperature. Okay, so this is glossy. I can see once the bubbles died down how beautifully glossy it is. Now, I put the spoon in here because this is what Rob was referring to. Yes, you could absolutely heat your jar. That's one way of doing it. Another way is by adding a metal spoon into your jar. It diffuses.
You don't use a funnel for that? Really?
No.
Oh, wow. Bold. Oh, look at that.
So diffuse was not the word I wanted. It conducts the heat.
Diffuses the heat. It works, yeah.
Anyway, so that it doesn't
break the
crack
glass.
the
Yeah.
glass.
Oh, look at that, eh? Why?
And I've made a little, I thought it made about a cup, and I've got slightly more here.
Well,
Just a touch.
we'll use some for dinner.
So there you go. It is, if my sambal oelek had been not oxidized, this would be
It smells
a
good.
lighter color.
It smells really good.
It smells great. It smells like sweet and sour, which is exactly what it is with a bit of spice. So there you go. Super easy to make, and like I said, it would be redder if the sambal was not oxidized. But also, you know, if you really wanted it red, put a drop of food
don't do
coloring
that.
in there.
Don't do
Personally, I wouldn't do that. This is fabulous. It tastes great. It doesn't need to be red. And that is your sweet chili sauce. Go
Sweet
make do
chili
and have fun.
sauce.